What's up, Taiwan? I'm Sani Chi with news from here in Taiwan and around the world. China has recently stepped up its actions targeting Taiwan's military, including through espionage and a bounty list. These efforts appear to be aimed at intimidating and dividing the armed forces. Alan Liu reports.
This is Taiwan's domestically developed Xiongfeng 2 anti-ship missile, a supersonic weapon designed to counter naval threats. But classified information about the system may have been leaked. An investigation found that a Navy corporal surnamed Lin, who was discharged in 2021, met a Chinese intelligence agent through a dating app. He then acted as an intermediary, helping pass on documents, including the Xiongfeng 2 missile launcher's drill manual, operator handbook, and other related classified materials. Prosecutors have detained Lin and indicted him for violating the National Security Act. Taiwan's defense ministry says the case came to light after other service members came forward and reported it.
中共对我渗透攻坚未曾停顿，少数官兵因利欲熏心、背叛国家，应受最严厉的处分。本部将持衡落实保防教育，深化官兵保防警觉及爱国意识。
An expert says the leak could force Taiwan to revise its training and deployment plans, which is extremely costly. But proving the case isn't an easy task.
I think the challenge will lie on the three elements, especially intent and the money flow, which make such case complicated and evidence heavy.
In addition to the spying case, Beijing has stepped up other actions targeting Taiwan's military. After Taiwan celebrated its National Day on October 10th, China published a list of 18 members from Taiwan's Psychological Warfare Battalion and announced bounties on them. Chinese state media even warned that its investigators have identified all 250-plus members of the unit, including their real identities and duties. Taiwan's defense ministry says the move is part of Beijing's cognitive warfare campaign and called the tactics crude and clumsy. Experts note that the so-called bounty is largely symbolic.
Beijing's recent actions combine legal warfare and cognitive warfare. Of course, it's symbolic. Beijing has no judicial authorities over Taiwan, but the symbol doesn't mean harmless in psychological warfare.
These recent moves, the expert says, are aimed to unsettle the soldiers' families, amplify China's propaganda, and ultimately sow distrust within the combat unit. Taiwan says to better protect national security, it will strengthen safeguards against espionage and improve counter-infiltration training within the military. Howard Chang and Anna Lu for TaiwanPlus.
The U.S. State Department says it strongly supports President Lai Ching-te's plan to increase defense spending to 5% of GDP by 2030. Lai announced the plan during his National Day speech last week. He also said Taiwan will develop a T-dome missile defense system. This comes after several prominent U.S. officials called for Taiwan to spend up to 10% of GDP on defense. That includes President Donald Trump's pick to lead the Pentagon's Indo-Pacific strategy. The State Department also said the U.S. remains committed to the Taiwan Relations Act and would continue supporting Taiwan's efforts to protect itself. Taiwan's biggest opposition party is holding its leadership election on Saturday. Less than a week before the crucial vote, an AI attack video targeting one of the candidates has highlighted the party's complicated relationship with China. But as Leslie Lau reports, cross-strait ties aren't the only matter on the candidates' minds.
A seemingly ordinary speaking event takes a turn for the unexpected and bizarre. Depicted in this fake video are former Taipei City Mayor Hao Longbing and Taipei City Councilor Liu Caiwei. Hao, who is running for chair of Taiwan's main opposition party, the Kuomintang, says that the video is an attack on his campaign and that he's been a victim of fake news.
在最近3个礼拜之内，到处都是假讯息、假资料、谣言攻击郝龙斌，而且这些 IP、这些网站都是在3个礼拜成立的。我不知道这是哪里来的这个攻击。
While Hao says he doesn't know the origin, his close confidant, party heavyweight, and media mogul Zhao Shaokang has spoken out, pointing the finger at China. He says that Taiwan's national security authorities should investigate.
所谓境外势力啦，或大陆方面到底有没有干涉台湾的选举哈？那为什么你以前都不讲啊？那其实，在726大罢免的前3个礼拜吧，我印象差不多2、3个礼拜，我在我主持的战情室啊，就很这个严厉的来劝告国台办不要去发表任何言论关于台湾的大罢免的选举。
It's a different direction for the KMT, which has traditionally advocated for stronger ties with China amid Beijing's claims that Taiwan is part of Chinese sovereign territory. Even amid these accusations, National Taiwan University professor Zhang Yazhong, who's also in the race, said if he wins, he will work toward peace with Beijing. At a policy briefing in southern Taiwan, he said doing so would open doors for the country, especially as Beijing blocks Taiwan's participation in international organizations.
我会跟北京进行政治对话，寻求一个和平。有了和平，我的学生才有机会在国际组织中为我们的台湾出现在这个国际组织。
And that was a sentiment echoed by another candidate, former legislator Zheng Liwen.
只有中国国民党才有法度保护台湾，因为中国国民党要两岸和解，因为中国国民党要两岸和平，因为中国国民党绝对不会把台湾推向战火、推向战争，对不对？
While the KMT chair debates have focused on cross-strait relations and Taiwan's foreign affairs, candidates also discussed domestic matters. With local elections coming up in 2026, candidates put themselves on the line, promising to win mayoral seats in ruling DPP strongholds in southern Taiwan.
所以郝龙斌在这里具体保证，高雄、台南2都，如果郝龙斌做党主席拿不下1都，郝龙斌辞职谢罪。
我当党主席，我最重要的任务就是把高雄赢回来，好不好？高雄、台南只要有1都没有赢，罗志强就辞党主席，好不好？
From AI attacks to navigating Taiwan's delicate relationship with China to managing upcoming local elections, the party will have to decide who is best equipped to handle all of the above. Scott Huang and Leslie Liao for TaiwanPlus.
US-China trade tensions could be cooling off again after Donald Trump seemed to walk back remarks about cancelling a meeting with Xi Jinping. While some view the moves as negotiating tactics, they may signal a broader change in the global economy, Chris Gorin reports.
Speaking aboard Air Force One on Sunday, U.S. President Donald Trump praised China's Xi Jinping and left the door open to adjusting the 100% tariffs on China set for November 1st.
I think we're going to be fine with China. Look, I have a great relationship with President Xi. He's a very tough man. He's a very smart man. He's a great leader for their country. Let's see what happens. You know, for me, you know what November 1st is? An eternity. November 1st is an eternity for me.
The comments follow an escalating series of trade restrictions between the world's two largest economies. Last week, China put export controls on rare earth minerals critical to weapon systems and semiconductors. Trump, on Friday, retaliated with his 100% tariff threat. Then, in a move seen as backpedaling, China said its export controls are not blanket bans. The exchange between the two countries roiled Asian markets, with nearly every major stock index down on Monday afternoon. But some say the back and forth might just be a negotiating tactic.
I think this sort of negotiation we have been seeing a couple of times over the past half year or past year. This kind of level of tension cannot be sustained forever. I do think this is potentially kind of temporarily bargaining chips from each side.
It's unclear whether the two leaders will still hold a scheduled meeting on the sidelines of the APEC summit in South Korea at the end of this month. Amid concerns about how rare earth export controls would affect Taiwan's chip industry, officials here say it should have limited impact.
可能直接冲击的比较是跟马达有关的，高速马达部分包括无人机啊，半导体现在看起来是没有，大部分从日本进口材料，美国进口设备，所以直接从中国来的比较少。那但是间接恐怕也会有波及啊，我们现在还在观察。
As all eyes look to the APEC summit and potential U.S.-China deal, some also say a bigger trend may be at play.
I think one clear sign we are seeing is a decoupling of U.S. and China supply chain. I'm not just talking about semiconductor. I think it's essentially you're gonna have two parallel ecosystem, right? You will have an ecosystem that led by U.S. and its partners and allies. You will also have another ecosystem that led by China, Russia.
With tariffs set to take effect in weeks and export controls tightening on both sides, the next moves from Washington and Beijing could decide the future direction of the global economy. James Lin and Chris Gorin for TaiwanPlus.
Israel says the first of the remaining hostages held in Gaza have returned home. It's part of a ceasefire deal between Israel and Hamas that appears to be holding. But as John Van Triest reports, deep traumas linger.
U.S. President Donald Trump's motorcade approaches the tarmac at Andrews Air Force Base in Maryland. He's headed to the Middle East as a 2-year war between Israel and Hamas in the Gaza Strip looks like it might be ending. Trump says it's already over. A ceasefire that took effect Friday is holding, and an exchange of Israeli hostages and Palestinian prisoners could be just hours away. Trump will first address Israel's parliament before heading to Egypt for a global leaders summit on ending the war for good. The U.S. president says he's helped forge a deal that has both sides happy.
Everybody's cheering at one time. That's never happened before. Usually if you have one cheering, the other isn't. The other is the opposite.
Cheering may not be quite the right word after 2 years of horror. But here at what's been dubbed Hostage Square in Tel Aviv, Israel, there was singing and dancing. The 2023 Hamas attack on Israel that sparked the war took 1,200 Israeli lives, and many of the 200-plus hostages Hamas took have since died. But there's a flicker of hope. Around 20 surviving hostages are supposed to come home soon.
I'm totally overwhelmed, cautiously optimistic, just really anxious about what will be tomorrow, and very hopeful that we are looking forward to a very positive future.
I feel immense joy and excitement to feel that we're really in a process of returning to a slightly more normal life, and I hope back to routine.
There was no cheering in Gaza. Here, Israeli attacks have killed more than 67,000 people, and a blockade on aid has plunged the territory into a humanitarian crisis. Buildings are in ruins, and lives are too.
We didn't expect it to be to this degree. I mean, not one home in the whole street is standing, or is even hollowed out. They are all leveled to the ground. It is all destruction.
There is no life, not at all, not at all. No life. No life.
Even if the peace holds, the question for many is, what now? Basic aid is still hard to come by. The UN said in July that already 78% of structures in Gaza were damaged or destroyed. The World Bank, meanwhile, puts the rebuilding cost at over $50 billion. And whether this peace will hold is still anyone's guess. While Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu says a path of rebuilding and healing is at hand, he also says this may not really be the end.
The battle is not over. There are still very serious security challenges ahead. Some of our enemies are trying to recover so they can attack us again. And as we say here, we're on it. There are also unprecedented opportunities, precisely because of the victories we've achieved. I am convinced that together we will overcome the challenges and realize the opportunities.
The ceasefire may be working, but the immense trauma and damage of the war aren't something a peace accord can fix anytime soon. Andy Xue and John Van Triest for TaiwanPlus.
Thank you for watching What's Up Taiwan. Finally, we take you to France to see an almost complete 180 million-year-old crocodile fossil from the Jurassic era. I'm Sani Chi. Take care and see you next time.